Hey there and welcome to a slightly different video, my analysis and review of Season 8 and my plan for Season 9. So this season I managed to hit Diamond again, didn't manage to keep it seriously, but I hit it 2 or 3 times, which I'm pretty pleased with. So I wanted to take a little second to kind of review my performance over Season 8 and make a plan for Season 9 of how I'm going to continue to improve and get more solid Diamond. A lot of the problem this season I think was partly that I didn't play as much as I would like, as well as there were times where I really shouldn't have played because I was so tired, but I'm so addicted to the game I played anyway and played pretty badly, and so I went on a bit of a losing streak, so not exactly ideal. But to keep this short and sweet, I've broken it down into a series of different points that I'm going to be working on next season to get solid Diamond, to be pushing my way up potentially closer to Conqueror. The first one is going to be hotkeys. Now I know you can get to Conqueror, you can get to a high level without using hotkeys. I know a few people who actually don't, but I want to start building some good habits. It's going to be slower at the start, but overall it's going to be faster, and then I'm going to be able to use my APM more effectively, because I have noticed this season my APM has been increasing. You know, it's been around sort of 200, some matches actually been closer to 250, so I am getting more actions, so I want to be using those a bit more effectively. So I'm going to be making a concerted effort to only use hotkeys for producing units, for doing upgrades and all of that kind of stuff. And also putting down buildings. So it's going to be a little tricky at the beginning, but that's going to be one of the things I'm really going to be pushing for, and I know a lot of you guys in the comments have been letting me know, so I am taking that on board, and that's the first point. The second point is going to be my control groups, but micro in general. So it's not just going to be about using control groups. I want to actually start getting better at actually microing effectively. So keeping my units alive and then using them more effectively to do damage and actually do what they should be doing. So target firing the right units, moving them around in the right way to protect themselves, all of that kind of stuff. So control groups are going to be vital to that, as well as actually using them to keep them alive and not be running all of my units under TCs and all that kind of stuff, because, you know, we all know that's happened a few times. The third point is also kind of related, but I wanted it separate, which is don't look away. I have this really bad habit, and you've probably noticed it as well, that when I'm playing I will start a fight and then I'll notice I've got like an idle villager or I'm floating some resources, and I'll pop back to my base to do some building or lay down some buildings or build some farms or whatever, and then I come back and my whole military has been decimated because I wasn't paying attention, and a mangonel popped out of nowhere and just destroyed my ranged units. So one of the big things I'm going to be working on is when I'm engaging in a fight, or when there's a fight that's going to be happening, not looking away, and if I need to go back to my base, then I'm going to pull my units into a better position. If they're not there raiding and just running under TC anyway, then I can keep them alive better, and then I can make sure that I'm not taking really bad fights when I don't need to. Fourth on my list is going to be mastering different playstyles. I've been reviewing some of my more recent games, and I've noticed that the thing that I'm struggling with at the moment is that I'm always somewhere in the middle of what I'm trying to do. So I'm trying to feudal all in, but I get enough resources to end up going to castle by mistake, or I'm trying to do a fast castle but it's really slow and I have loads of spare wood that I don't really need, stuff like that. So basically the idea is I'm going to try and focus on whatever my particular plan is. If it's a feudal all in, really going feudal all in and not end up floating enough resources to go to castle. If I'm going to be going fast castle, I'm going to be really trying to do that as effectively as possible, because I think mastering the booming and aggression and maybe even turtling as well a little bit, if I can master doing that effectively, I think it's going to be way more effective against the different opponents, and I'm actually going to be doing what I'm trying to do. Fifth on my list is scouting, and this is kind of an obvious one, but scouting, I want to be focusing on looking at what they're doing, understanding what that means, and then responding. So understanding when I see villagers in certain positions, or I see things set up in a particular way, then I know what they're going to be doing. I was watching a demo game yesterday, and he was up against the Mongols. He saw a pasture being dropped and then cancelled, and then he saw a barracks being dropped and then cancelled, and he knew immediately that that meant they were going to be doing a particular strategy, so he knew what to do. So that's all going to come from experience as well. I need to play a lot more games of a lot of different matchups to figure all of that out, but it's going to be doing that and responding. Part of that is also going to be my unit composition, because one of the things I've noticed, and you guys have also mentioned to me as well, is that I'm not very good at responding to what they are doing in terms of composition. So they mass up archers and I just continue making spears because I'm in a spear archer composition, and that's just what I'm doing. So seeing what they are making and then making the appropriate counter unit, I think, is going to be super important if I want to continue to develop and progress. Finally, it's going to be about the matchups. So this is going to be making sure I have a plan for every matchup, and when I say the matchups, I mean the particular styles or strategies that each civilization will go for. So some of them will have multiple ones, like English Council Hall, English Abbey Fast Castle, Abbey 2 Kings, 2 TC, that kind of thing, and then having a plan. I was watching a Beastie video, and I think he made a really good point that if you're against Abbasid Eco Wing, they have a plan of going for 2 TCs or 3 TCs. If you see that and you decide to follow them, you're on the back foot, you're delayed, and actually you're not getting the benefit they are. So you kind of have to already know, if you're going against Abbasid and you see the Eco Wing, you should already either be planning to drop your own TC anyway, or you are going feudal all in and doing aggression, or you're doing your fast castle, or whatever it is that you're doing. But just randomly seeing that they're dropping a TC and completely changing your plan and dropping your own isn't really going to work, because you're on the back foot and they're still going to be ahead regardless. So I think having a plan and executing it, and then as I continue to play those matchups, figuring out ways of fine-tuning it, things I need to change, different things that people can do, and then it's going to get more and more refined. But basically, when I want to go into each match knowing that what I'm seeing with their age ups or with their particular strategies, I have at least an initial plan of what to go for, because I find having a terrible plan is better than having no plan, and then I just need to focus on executing it. All of that being said, it's going to be time for a change. I'm going to be changing civs. I absolutely love the Byzantines. I think they're really, really fun. I like the base building and the cisterns. I think all the buildings look really cool. I love the cataphracts and I love having all the abilities. But we're going to be changing to just mix things up a little bit for me, because I've been playing Byzantines since they came out, and also for a few other reasons. And we're going to be going for the Abbasid dynasty. Now in Season 8 I did consider actually going for them, but I changed my mind and then stuck with Byzantines and tried to make 2 TC work, which, as you probably have seen, wasn't exactly effective. And so I'm going to be switching, because the first reason, Abbasid is super versatile. It can do an eco boom with the eco wing, you can do really heavy military pressure, they're actually very good for trade as well. So when I'm trying to master the playstyles, which is one of the things I want to be working on, I can actually lean into that very effectively with each of the different wings and the things that they can do. So if I want to focus on booming, then I can go for the eco wing build, and I can really figure out how that works and the defending that's required and all of that kind of stuff. So the versatility is going to be really important, whereas Byzantines has a few different things you can do, but they tend to play out in the same way, and they have a very clear strength and where they go that's going to make them win, whereas Abbasid you can be a lot more flexible and have different ideas. They're also simpler, so they do have different units. They obviously have the camels and they have the unique upgrades, but the base building is much simpler, the eco is much simpler to manage, the variety of units that you'll have, especially early game, is much more limited. So I won't have 6 or 7 different types of units, I probably will have 2 or 3, which means when I'm focusing on my control groups and my micro, I can simplify things a lot better so that I can focus on improving those skills. So if I'm just in Horseman Archer, I don't have to worry about having Horseman, Archer, Longbow, this thing, that thing, another thing, and then when I hit Castle Age having 20 different types of units that I've got to try and control group and manage. I thought something a little bit simpler, and that will basically make my life a bit easier, and also allow me to really kind of focus on those things I'm trying to do. The final thing is the field siege. Now, it's a really nice quality of life thing that their infantry can build siege on the field, and with all the big siege changes in Season 9, I'm really interested in testing them out, and siege is not something I've ever really mastered or ever really focused on, and I think actually now is probably a good time to really figure out how it works and start using it effectively. So going with Abbasid that can do that without needing a siege workshop will allow me just a much easier time actually getting used to it and getting to grips with it. So I think that's just a quality of life thing, but I think along with all the other things, adding in siege to my compositions and my plans, I think is going to be really good at just rounding out some of my gameplay. Initially then, my plan is going to be working on just a simple EcoWing 2TC build. I know with EcoWing you can go 3TC, 4TC, all that kind of crazy stuff, but I think just to keep it simple, I'm going to be going EcoWing 2TC and then having a plan for each of the matchups, whether it's going heavy into feudal or going to castle, and then I'll mess around with the different wings and all the different options and stuff like that. But it's something that's very simple to open, and then I can focus on stuff like scouting and all those other things. So I know it's particularly strong at the moment. I've had a really hard time dealing with it, and that's kind of why I was thinking about trying it, because if it's something that I struggle against, either I'll learn how to beat it because everyone will beat me, or it will allow me to work on those things. So you're going to be seeing a bit of Abbasid on the channel. We will be dropping in some Byzantines as well because, you know, I can't refuse a little bit of Hippodrome magic. But that's basically my plan for Season 9. And a lot of these things were also taken from your tips and comments in the community post that I did the other day. So thank you for all your feedback. I really appreciate all of your votes and all of your comments, and keep coming in with them. Keep letting me know what you think I need to be working on. I do appreciate all of them. Even when you're telling me that I'm doing something very, very terribly, I'm aware and I'm trying to work on it. This, for me, is all about learning and improving, and I think this is going to be a really nice thing to really focus my attention and try and push forward in Season 9, working my way up towards Conqueror, which, as we all know, is the goal. But I hope you've enjoyed this kind of analysis, my thought process, my planning, and I'd love to know what your goals are for Season 9. What skills are you going to be working on? Which civs are you going to be trying? And what do you think of the absolutely terrible map pool that we have? Or maybe that's just my personal opinion. Let me know in the comments. Make sure you like, and if you want to subscribe to the channel and support me on my journey to sharing my Age of Empires adventures, then it is much appreciated. But have a great day, whatever you're doing today. Enjoy your journeys on the ladder in Season 9, and I will see you next time.